Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. Just yesterday, someone posted on my Facebook group a very nice outline about how to approach the P800 from EPSON here in the United States, since it is locked to basically all third-party sources. And any kind of refilling process that we may have been used to in the past, that's no longer the case. And you have several options that you can approach this problem with. Now I'm going to take you directly over to the Facebook group. I'm going to show you exactly what was posted. Then I'm going to give you my opinion as to why a choice that he presented may not be the best one and why another choice may be better than, what's being proposed. And again, this is just my opinion. I've been doing this now for about probably almost a year now with my P800, and so far it has worked out perfectly. So let's go ahead and jump over to the screen. All right, so basically he gave us steps involved in achieving a reliable system for the EPSON P800. Hack the printer. Well, that's done by installing a special software, acquire new ink, and again, that could be any source, whether it is from Precisioncolors or John Cone, or from large cartridges that come from the family of the short color printers. In other words, the large format ones, you can buy larger cartridges. It'll cost you a lot less per ml, and you will be able to harvest that ink and then refill your own cartridges that you will be running under either options. And we'll discuss that next. 3 options that he is aware of is buy a chip decoder. Now I have that, and it is a $400 unit, and it was given to me to test by inkowl.com. And basically has to be installed internally. In other words, you're going to sever all connections to the chip reader system that the printer currently uses. That means flat cables that need to be disconnected carefully and correctly attached to your board. The board will then hang outside after you install the rear latch back on your P800, and hope to God that everything turns out okay. It took me 3 attempts to get one to work, and lucky for me, InkOwl was gracious enough to provide me with 3 different boards until one of them worked properly. And what that does, it will then show you all cartridges being full, because embedded within that board itself are 9 chips. And those 9 chips contain 30 different color ID codes per color. So that would be 9 times 30 codes, because the P800, unlike other printers that allow you to use third-party sources, they want to see a different ID code for yellow, for magenta, for cyan when you reset. That's impossible to do. No auto reset chip that I know will reset the ID code to a different code. Those codes live in a read-only region of the chip, cannot be written to. So the chip decoder will basically allow you to do this. You will start off with a set of refillable cartridges, such as these. You will install them on your printer, and the printer will accept them happily. The reason it does that is because it sees it as a different set of ID code or color ID code numbers. So it will accept them all as full. You go through the process of printing, and eventually one of them will reach empty. The process would go as follows. And overseas, this works. Here in the United States, all of North America, it is locked out. You remove the cartridge, that will then disrupt power to the chip. When you reinstall it, the levels go up automatically, it gets reset. The problem is it sees the same code for yellow, the same code for magenta, the same code for cyan, and so forth. So it will not accept it. In fact, if it sees any kind of increase in the ink levels that are originally stored in its memory, and the memory is huge, it will go ahead and reject that reset. It will not accept it. So you're back where you started again. So what happens? What you do is, before you reach that point, you know it's not going to work. You install the board, and that resets all of the levels back up to full, regardless of what levels they were actually set at, because colors are used at very different rates depending on your images and the colors that they contain. So it's not going to be a gradual drop equal and then all of them reach empty at the same time. No, one of them will reach empty first, and at that point you install your board, or before that, reset everything to full, and then you begin again. Here's the catch with the board. When any cartridge chip goes empty, You press the button and all of them get reset to full. So you cannot do individual resets like you could with auto reset chips that actually work. So that is the way that works. You get 30 cycles of reset globally. Okay. You still have to maintain your levels of ink physically because these cartridges do not actually hold 80 milliliters of ink. Okay. They hold less. And some of that ink resides in the priming chamber. So you have to subtract another 10 ml. Okay. So make sure that you constantly keep an eye whether you're using the board or even if these chips were to work. You have to constantly check on your ink levels physically. We'll touch on that in a little bit. All right. Now, the other number 2 choice would be replacement chips. Forget about it. There are no replacement chips. Okay. They do not work. Period. I have tried 2 different sets from China and a set from the US, from a US seller. They do not work. Hack the firmware with CHIPLESSolutions.com. Now that is an option that's going to allow you to not only print, but for only about $69. I don't know how much it is, $60, $69, something like that. What it does, it installs a firmware in your motherboard that will then display all your colors as being always full. Now that reminds me, way back at the 3800, you were able to do that. Okay? You were able to do that easily. These chips that were being used at the time always reported full. So again, it's just a matter of opening up your ink compartment lid once a month or so. You want to hear something? I have yet to top off any of my cartridges on my P800, and I've had that board installed for about a year, at least a year now. So for those of you who are, oh my God, I have to check the ink levels constantly. So what? So what? You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You have to lose some convenience by having that printer now work with your third-party inks of your choice, or even if you are harvesting ink from OEM cartridges. That convenience has to be paid for in the fact that now your chip levels are always going to read full, and you may have to check your ink levels physically. Oh gosh, once a month or so. So what? Press that button, open the lid, and just look. If they're below half, take them out and refill them. They will not cause any kind of purge cycle to occur. Easy as pie. Top them all off, pop them back in. You have a full tank on all 9 cartridges now. That's it. Very convenient, actually. It's not as bad as people think. All right, so the other option, acquire new ink. So if you are going to then make a choice as to what ink to use, buy a good ink set. Inkjet Mall is the best inks available. Precisioncolors, also very good. Ink Owl, yes, indeed, very good. I tested those. I tested those against, in fact, I think I tested all 3 of them. So go back in my video library and look for that. The results were quite surprising. I actually used the 2880 as an analog printer because it was impossible to be testing different inks on the P800. Imagine the amount of ink you would have to waste pushing that ink out, the old ink out, and then allowing the new ink to pass through the system, ink lines, internal dampers. No, the 2880 served as a perfect printer for that kind of testing, and I went ahead and printed an array of prints and compare them side by side. Or you can just use, like everybody is talking about now, buying cartridges from large printers that utilize the same type of ink. And that would be the Sure Color series now. So if you want to go that route, let's just say you chose one of the 2 methods, either the board or the chipless solution. You get yourself big old cartridges like this. I've gotten them for as low as $80. Okay, this is 700 ml. Port, big old syringe, about 100 ml syringe. Get them from Amazon. Get them from my site. I have an Amazon affiliate page. Go there and buy your syringes there. These tips can be bought from octoinkjet.co.uk. My friend Martin will be glad to take care of you. The catch is they have a little slot cut in the end. You're going to insert them in there. Hold it upside down just to help ink flow and extract the ink. That's all you have to do. And then add that ink to your cartridges. or put it in a bottle somewhere, whatever you wish to do. That will be the way to really save on ink and print with the best inks in the world, which are, of course, always OEM. Your second best will be Cone, okay? John Cone, inkjetmall.com. Close second. Precisioncolors, and close third. Almost indistinguishable, but they do have a slight degradation in output. Not quality, they're all great, but you will see the difference. A custom profile will solve all of that for you. So there you go. Now you're printing with the chipless solution. Your cartridges are always full. Once a month, wow, what a chore, huh? Once a month, open up your lid and take a look. Oh, I can't see through this. Yes, you can. Actually, you can, okay? And if you really are doubtful, remove the cartridges. It's not going to hurt anything. Oh, the exit port might wear out. No, it will not. It will not wear out. It's okay. Now, another option was to modify your original P800 cartridges. You know what? You better really be good at this. You better really be good at this. I would recommend that only if I can guarantee you that your results are going to actually not leak internally if you do something wrong, because the process is completely blind, okay, and very risky. I will give you about a 50% success rate. That's not a very good rate, okay? So don't even consider that. Use a good set of refillables. Get your jollies by running them once. They'll give you one run. As long as one cartridge just goes empty, that's it. That's the end of that run. Now you're going to install your firmware, or prior to that. I would do it prior to that just to make sure. And of course, if you have lots of money, you buy a decoder board and you hope it works the first time. Get it from a reputable dealer who will be willing to replace it, because, again, remember, I had to go through 3 of them. That's the best way, actually, because it gives you actual ink levels, unlike the chipless solution, which is always full. And those of you who just don't want to constantly check, actually, you don't have to constantly check anything. Once a month, every 2 months. Are you really printing that much? Most people don't print that much anyway. That's the problem with everybody who prints. They don't print enough. So don't worry, you're not going to run out of ink that soon, okay? So every month, every 2 months, check your ink levels. That's all you have to do. Now, there are some questions that I want to address here. He wants to stick with OEM inks, and there are several places that sell it. You could get it on eBay. You can look for a particular printer. Do your research to make sure that large format Sure Color EPSON printer utilizes the same ink palette, and then check to see what is being sold as far as cartridges for those printers. Okay, maybe you'll be able to get some large volume that are almost about ready to expire. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter. Buy them cheap and extract the ink. Question number 1. Where do I find the syringe? Well, the syringe you can buy on Amazon, either Amazon.com or Amazon My Site. I have them listed there. Then you're going to need those tips from octoink.co.uk. Martin will take care of you with that. He ships all over the world, so it doesn't really matter. When harvesting, it is better to leave the ink in the original cartridge, or should I completely empty a cartridge into another bottle? It's up to you. As long as you do it cleanly and about as aseptically as possible, okay? No problem at all. Is there any cleaning I need to do of the syringe once I am done using it? Sure, wash them. That's it. Wash them in water. Let them dry. What's the proper way to store a cartridge that is not in use or ink in a bottle if I completely empty the harvest source? On a shelf. Really, there's no rocket science to this. On a shelf, room temperature, that's fine. Okay. If you're worried about ink going bad, then maybe you're not printing enough. So why are you worried about the frequency that you will have to check your cartridges? You know, it makes no sense. Once a month, once every 2 months is all you'll have to do. Really, believe me, you may not be printing that much with that printer. I certainly am not. And every once in a while, I'll just open up that lid and check. That's it. Oh, I have to add some ink to this one. The other ones are pretty full. So again, it's not going to be all 9 cartridges you have to top off. It might be 1 or 2. Just keep in mind also that your maintenance cartridge will have to be checked. Basically, you open the door, the hatch, pull it out, and look at it. That's it. If it looks completely saturated with ink, it's time to replace the insides. They will always be reported as empty with the chipless solution, okay? But, of course, they're not going to be empty because cleaning cycles will cause ink to be deposited in that maintenance cartridge. And it's an open type cartridge, so it's not enclosed like the Pro-1000 cartridges are. Now, refilling cartridges. Buy a third-party set of refillable cartridges made for the P800. That's the way to go. Modify your OEM P800 cartridges. Again, only if you are an expert at it, okay? I am not an expert at it. Wink, wink, get it? I've had cartridges end up leaking inside my 3880s, okay? That has happened. It was a disaster, and it happened to be magenta. It looked like a crime scene, okay? Everywhere. So you don't want to do that. Use refillable cartridges. This is the simplest way to go, okay? Don't even consider modifying your originals unless you are really, really good at it. And even I am not, okay? There's too many things that can happen internally as you're trying to pop the little rear cap off of the valve itself with a needle blindly. Yeah, it's not easy. Gauging how empty your cartridges will be difficult with the OEM. It will be impossible, okay? At least visually. You would have to weigh them. They weigh 60 grams completely empty, but that's not what happens. The actual chip, if it was actually an OEM cartridge, brand new out of the box, will be empty, declare empty with 10 ml still left in the bag, okay? So fully empty is 60 grams, but actually will be declare empty at 70 grams or even higher. And then fully filled cartridge will be 150 grams. Do the math. So you really have 90 ml of ink out of a brand new cartridge out of the box. 90 ml. The chip is calibrated for 80. It will then declare it empty at the point where it still has 10 grams of ink left. Okay? Keep that in mind. So that's not going to happen with this. You can only get about 70. To the tippy top. And the chip on the original cartridges, refillable, that will give you one run for the money, will go empty after you run out of ink because they're calibrated for 80 ml. Okay? You have less ink than the chip is calibrated for. Danger, danger. You will run out of ink, air will get into the lines, and then you'll have a big problem in your hands. So keep that in mind. Okay? And then he went ahead and linked all of my modification videos here for anyone who wants to take that approach. And again, if you do it the long, tedious way, it is actually more reliable than doing it the blind, the easy way. So if you're curious about that, I do not guarantee you, I do not take any responsibility on your results attempting to do that. Again, it's up to you. I've done it. I have gotten it to work. I've had some failures myself, but only with ones that I did blindly, not with the ones that I originally did the long, tedious way, which requires disassembly of the valve. Alrighty, so there's a lot of comments to this. And all I can say to you guys is to just be careful. The easiest way to approach this, if you haven't already spent the money for a board, might as well use it. You may never go through 30 resets. It just depends on your workflow and the amount of printing that you do. A studio, yeah, they will go through 30 resets. But a home user, very unlikely that they will. So if you're thinking about, whether you're brand new or about 6-7 months old P800, you want to go ahead and switch over to third-party source chipless solution and just get used to checking your cartridges, for goodness sakes. It's not going to take that much of an effort, okay? That will keep you safe. That will keep air from ever entering if you run out of ink. If you're so forgetful, like someone I know, and you actually do not check, and then it's too late, you've run out of ink, and now there's no more ink in the ink lines. You have some ink in the printhead. You think you're still printing okay, and you have a vast amount of air in that ink line because the chip will always read full. It's always telling you that you have ink, whether you do or you do not. Okay? So keep in mind, this is something that you have to really think about and approach carefully. The options are there for you. OEM cartridges only, $60 each. That's one way to go. It will assure top quality results. Modify your originals? Oh, that's risky. Refillable cartridges. That'll work one time. Single-use chips. They don't work at all. Chipless solution plus refillable cartridges. That works. That seems to work. And everyone who has done that has reported positive results so far. The only nuisance, if you will, is that you'll have to check your ink levels and your maintenance tank or cartridge levels. Done. That's not much to ask, okay? All right. I hope I didn't offend anyone or, make anybody angry at me. This is, again, my opinion. This is how I would approach this problem if I had to do that. At this point, I cannot because I have a board installed. So I'm not about to waste that board. All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And please leave your comments below. Let's discuss this a little bit further. Give us all of your results. If you're already a user of the Chipless Solution firmware, share with us your results. Share with us your experiences and whether it really is a pain in the you-know-what to check your cartridges once or twice a month, even twice a month. I don't think it is. All right. Happy printing, everybody, and bye-bye.